So before I get burned at the stake for this, let me just say I did not do this to the car. The car came to me like this years ago. Um, so yeah, obviously this is cut, and I personally wouldn't do it myself, and I'll explain why, and I'll explain this too. First reason is rust. Second reason is when you do this and you live outside, you leave your car open to rodents, which apparently have foldable, collapsible skull bones, whatever. So they get in here and fuck all this up. Anyway, that's to slow them down or whatever. And the main reason is because it doesn't really help you as much as you think it would. So when you have this, access to this here, you also end up having to cut these unless there's a different way of doing it. But I'm guessing there's not because this is how one of the previous owners did it. And lining this up is a pain in the dick. So my thought is it's actually probably easier to just do it all, outside the old-fashioned way by dropping the tank and dealing with whatever unhooks at the back. The other issue is ignoring this, assuming this is here because there's a bolt in there, but that head gave without warning, is that your car is going to smell like gasoline. Even before this get-on-us was happening, everything properly done, this piece missing, it just seems to smell like gas still. So, I mean, if you want to live with that, I don't see why you would. There's that. The other issue is when everything is bolted up, the tank, and the hoses, getting this down and getting these bolts to actually, because they're pretty short, getting these bolts to actually go in and thread correctly is very hard because nothing moves around at all. So you still have to deal with getting things to line up. And honestly, you shouldn't really be taking the tank out that often. For example, I took this out just to inspect the what was it? The fuel pump. This was like maybe 6 years ago or something like that. And I put it back in whatever. And for about I want to say about 3 years, this car has had old gas in it. And back then, the tank, when I noticed it, it was pretty clean. Like almost no rust. I mean, there's like slight blemishes, but it was, perfect. So recently I took this tank out and dumped all the gas out of it. And in that time of having ethanol gas in there just sitting, because it's California gas, so it's got ethanol in it, there's, no rust, nothing to really worry about, to be honest. So this convenience, you shouldn't really need it that often. And honestly, to me, it's lining things up seems to be more work doing this. I still use this method, but that's mostly because it's kind of here too for me already. But the whole having to smell gas, I don't know if you'd want that. I don't know if you want to live with that. The other thing that I did notice is because I can look down in here, when that gas tank reads a quarter tank, physically there's about like half a tank of gas in there. Now, sure, the fuel bowl is never gonna get all of that in there, but having dipped my hand in there and seeing how much of it turned white, yeah, it reads about a quarter tank at about half a tank worth of gas. Anyways, my recommendation: don't do this. There's drawbacks to it, like I've said. I wouldn't do it if I had the choice, but it's already done on my car. Anyways.